On April 20th, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon disaster changed the lives of millions living near the Gulf of Mexico, as well as the scientists who responded to the crisis. These are some of their stories, intimate portraits of research, innovation, discovery. Welcome. I'm Hal Weiner, co-creator of Dispatches from the Gulf, a series of documentaries, short videos, and podcasts. Today we hear from Dr. Tamara Frank, associate professor at Nova Southeastern University, who shares why simply getting a job as an aspiring female scientist was very challenging. But first, she talks about her current research, the nocturnal life of small ocean animals living at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, the details of which could be the basis of a science fiction thriller.
It is the largest migration on the planet, and that happens every night in the world's oceans. This is when millions of fish, squid, and crustaceans migrate up into surface waters at night. The animals that migrate have predators, visual predators. So during the day, they hide out in the dark waters so their predators can't see them. But unfortunately for them, their food is all in the surface waters. So at night, they migrate up into the surface waters, feed as frantically as they can, hope they don't get eaten, and then migrate back down to the deeper waters. It's a little difficult to get visuals of it because it's the decrease in light that triggers their migration. So if you're down there with a submersible or an ROV with really, really bright lights, you're scaring everything away. But the migration is so huge that you can pick it up on sonar. This was discovered back in World War II when they were doing anti-submarine warfare, and to some of the ship captains that were using this sonar for the first time, it looked like the sea bottom was rising up. What this actually was one of these huge migrating layers. Comes almost all the way to the surface, and then at sunrise, they migrate back down again.
After the oil spill, Dr. Frank feared that the disaster could have a major impact on many of the animals living in the Gulf of Mexico.
I thought it was devastating. I know that a lot of the animals that are found in the deep sea are a major food source for some of our really commercially important fish in the Gulf of Mexico. They rely on these vertical migrators for their food sources. And so if there's a devastating impact on the deep sea food web, it's going to go up the food web into some of our surface-dwelling fish as well.
Though Dr. Frank is a key member of a collaborative effort to better understand the effects of the oil spill on ocean animals, ironically, her path towards a career in science was quite rocky, to say the least.
I first became interested in science back when I was in high school, and like most other teenage girls, I wanted to study whales. I took one of those aptitude tests, and I was told that I should be a florist, of all things, even though every plant I've ever tried to keep alive has died. When I was in undergraduate school, they said the jobs in marine biology were really, really hard to get, and the only thing I'd be able to study would be phytoplankton, which are plant cells in the water column, and that required hours analysis under a microscope, which I was not interested in doing. But I figured, well, I'd just keep on going, and if a job came up, that would be great. And if it didn't come up, then I would have had an incredibly interesting experience, and then eventually would go into something else. But when I got to my undergraduate studies, I realized that there are other interesting things in the oceans beside whales, and eventually I migrated into studying whale food, which is crustaceans, and these are shrimp on the bottom, there's crabs and lobsters, and it also includes the krill. Luckily for me, I stuck with it, and I did get a job, and I couldn't be happier.
Today, thousands of scientists, oceanographers, chemists, engineers, biologists are all working together to develop newer and better ways to understand and ease the impact of oil spills. To learn more about their work, visit our website at dispatchesfromthegulf.com. Funding for this podcast was provided by a grant from the Gulf of Mexico Research Initiative. And thanks for listening.